When the narcissist old age comes, then pain becomes his companion for the rest of his life. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Today, we're tackling a fascinating topic that's bound to provoke some deep thoughts. What happens when the narcissist's time is up? If you're enjoying the content, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Now imagine this, the inevitable moment when the narcissist's carefully constructed facade begins to crumble. It's a harsh wake-up call for them. This occurs when the people around them start to recognize their manipulative patterns, whether these began in childhood or continued into their present lives. It's the point where children start seeing things clearly, friends and enablers catch on, romantic partners stop engaging in their games, and business associates decide to cut ties. This marks a pivotal moment, a day of reckoning for the narcissist. So stick around as we dive into what unfolds when the narcissist's tricks no longer work. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more insightful discussions. Let's get started. Have you ever noticed how narcissists juggle relationships like they're spinning plates? They engage in mental gymnastics, constantly keeping track of lies, deciding who to manipulate, who to dismiss, who to smear, who to confront, and who they can dominate. This chaotic cycle is their modus operandi. If you find yourself engaging in dishonesty, spreading gossip, or avoiding the truth, consider the weight of the lies you carry. It's like walking a tightrope. Eventually, you'll lose balance. People notice because there's only so much manipulation they can tolerate. Take, for example, being married to a narcissist. Were you their first partner? The second? The third? It's hard to keep count. But one thing remains constant, the narcissist's behavior. Multiple marriages often signal a pattern. If you've experienced it, you'll know what I mean. Narcissists jump from one relationship to another, convinced they're outsmarting everyone and winning at life. In reality, they're draining those around them, emotionally, financially, socially, and even professionally. They're like emotional vampires, consuming everything in their path. Have you ever found yourself in a toxic relationship, lured in by a dream that turned out to be a mirage? Narcissists often start by spinning tales of victimhood, how their exes wronged them, how their childhood was tragic, or how misunderstood they are. Their sob stories tug at your heartstrings, making you lower your defenses and empathize with them. But here's the twist. They're not the victims. They are master manipulators. They make you feel special, as though you're the only one who understands them. Meanwhile, they're congratulating themselves for reeling you in. Their fabricated narratives about past relationships serve as bait, and before you know it, you're hooked. Eventually, the reality of the situation catches up. It might not hit you immediately. It could be after the relationship ends, whether by their decision or yours. If you've endured this, know that you're not alone, and my heart goes out to you. When these toxic relationships finally come to an end, it's like snapping out of a nightmare. You start to see the truth about the person you were with. They weren't just challenging. They were a destructive force in your life. Day after day, they chipped away at your well-being, draining your energy, finances, and even your connections with others. It was a constant test, a twisted game to see how much you could endure and how far they could push you. They were strategic, calculating. They knew exactly how to reel you in to get what they wanted, your time, your resources, your emotional investment. For a while they succeeded. But here's the thing about people like that. Their schemes may work temporarily, but they're not built to last. Now, imagine the aftermath. The relationship has hit rock bottom, and you're left trying to make sense of it all. It feels like you've been thrown into a deep pit and you're fighting to climb out. You're piecing yourself back together, examining what went wrong, and working through old wounds that the experience brought to the surface. But here's the silver lining. They didn't break you. You've seen through their act, and now you're growing stronger with every step forward. Meanwhile, the narcissist moves on, finding someone new to pull into their cycle of manipulation. That's their pattern. It's predictable. They're repeating the same toxic behaviors with someone else, just as they did with you. But here's what happens over time. The facade cracks. Their family, friends, and even their loyal enablers begin to see the truth. The same destructive pattern becomes impossible to ignore, and the narcissist is revealed as the common denominator. They can't maintain real, healthy connections. They use people until there's nothing left, then move on, leaving chaos in their wake. Why does this happen? Because their need for control, validation, and chaos is insatiable. They thrive on drama, manipulation, and the constant feeding of their ego. But when they're left alone, without someone to manipulate, they're adrift. And believe me, that isolation comes sooner or later. Now, picture the narcissist navigating their life. They're like a driver on an endless road trip, but their phone dies and there's no GPS. They panic, unable to cope with even a moment of stillness. They need constant stimulation and chaos to feel in control, but it's a losing battle. Think about what it would be like to live in their mind, a storm of negativity, insecurity, and compulsive games. They're aware, on some level, of the harm they cause, but they keep repeating the cycle. Eventually, you start to notice the patterns and realize you're not the only one they've manipulated. It could even extend to people close to you, like family members. For example, take a narcissistic parent. They might fall back on old excuses, like that's just how things were back in the day, as a way to justify their behavior. But in today's world, those tactics don't hold up. With access to information and awareness, people are catching on to these games faster than ever. The bottom line: their time is running out. People are waking up, connecting the dots, and refusing to play along. It's a wake-up call for them, if they're willing to listen, but most importantly, it's a chance for you to reclaim your peace and move forward stronger than before. Let's talk about culture for a moment. Some people might say, "Oh, yelling is just how we communicate. It's part of our culture." But here's the truth. No matter where you're from, screaming at someone isn't acceptable. We're all learning to treat each other with more kindness and respect, and that's a universal standard worth striving for. Now let's shift gears and look at what narcissists do. They're experts at giving themselves a free pass for bad behavior. It's like they've got amnesia when it comes to their mistakes. They'll dismiss their actions with lines like, "Oh, don't be so sensitive. Everyone else is fine with me." They'll twist situations to avoid accountability, coming up with excuse after excuse. Here's the kicker. They'll flip the script and make you the bad guy. They might say something like, "Well, if you hadn't burned the turkey 10 years ago, I wouldn't have reacted this way." And you're left standing there, baffled, thinking, "Wait, what turkey? That was forever ago, and it was barely overcooked." This is classic narcissist behavior. They deflect and distort, but over time, their true nature becomes impossible to hide. So, what should you do? Here's my advice. Don't engage. Don't try to call them out or get into arguments. Take the high road. Distance yourself if possible. Cut ties if you can. Block them and anyone who defends their behavior. And if cutting ties completely isn't an option, just stay neutral. Be uninteresting. Don't give them anything they can use against you. And eventually, Life has a way of catching up with narcissists. It happens sooner or later. Have you ever noticed how many adult children of narcissists choose to go no contact with their parents? They've simply had enough. After enduring years of toxic behavior during childhood, they realize they don't owe their parents anything beyond what they're comfortable giving. Yes, their parents brought them into the world, but that doesn't mean they have to stick around for the chaos. That's why so many people walk away. They are choosing peace over dysfunction. Think about it. Once you're an adult, you get to decide who stays in your life. And when it comes to gatherings or family events, especially during the holidays, more and more people are declining invitations. They're realizing those events don't bring them joy or serve their well-being. They've started to see through the superficial charm and understand the true dynamics at play. For narcissists, this shift is a wake-up call. Day by day, their actions reveal who they really are, and their circle of support keeps shrinking. This forces them to reevaluate their tactics, because their old ways just don't work anymore. But make no mistake, they'll adapt. Narcissists always find new ways to manipulate and exploit people who haven't yet seen through their facade. That's where we'll wrap things up for today. I hope this was insightful and gave you something to think about. I truly enjoyed creating this for you, wherever you are, morning, afternoon, or evening. I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Take care.